Well, Squatson, how do you do, buckaroos? How the heck are you? This is going to be kind of a different video than I typically do. Um, I didn't do a video last night that I typically do on Thursdays because I had just found out that my mother had passed away. So, anyways, I ended up I had to work today. There wasn't any way to. I'm sure they would have let me off if I had asked. I knew it would be tough to get me replaced today on such short notice. So I went ahead and I just wanted to get through the day. Didn't really tell anybody about the situation, although I did have one person remark that I seemed a little more quiet than usual. Yeah, I spent so many years in retail that I always tell as far as that customer knows, you're doing great. And that's how I tried to get through today. Oh, but I am off tomorrow, so I tried to process a little last night, but it was difficult having just received the information. I didn't sleep well. It's hard to process while you're at work, but I was just having some moments, it was kind of hard to concentrate. So I know I was a little bit off today. Anyway, I decided to pour myself some. I had my two stacks here, so I just gave myself a nice generous pour of that. It's cask Irish. But even at that proof, it is just so incredibly easy to drink. And I just randomly grabbed a beer today, just trying to get rid of stuff out of my fridge that I've had for a while. Haven't bought any new stuff in a little bit. This one I picked up back in January 2nd, as a matter of fact, in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Even though it's not an Oklahoma beer, this one's the Brew Scotch Ale from Uber Brew. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It got away from me there. Oh, where are they out of? I don't remember now. I know they're not Oklahoma, but I don't remember where they're from. Scotch Ale, Uber Brew. I know it says here somewhere Montana Brewed. It says here we go, and I think I bought it because a friend had recommended it. It's not available here in Springfield, but I had a friend recommend it, so I thought, oh, what the hell? Let's give it a shot. Oh, mom was 89, and she had been suffering from dementia for several years now, and it got really progressively worse over the last few months. So it wasn't a total shock. We knew it was going to happen soon, but you will always, when that time comes, oh, gosh. Deal with a little guilt because I didn't visit her as much as I probably should have near the end. I just couldn't do it. Just having some issues with my own grief and trauma. I just couldn't do it. There was five of us kids in the family. Growing up during that time was quite a bit different than it is now. Of course, you can say that about every generation. We kind of grew up with free range parenting before it had a name. Uh, Mom and Dad both worked a lot for a lot of my youth. Ran that catering truck, which kept them both busy. And then many times after the workday, they would go to the bar. Sometimes it was late in the evening before we saw them. But mom and dad's recollection of that time was always different than us kids. So. Dad was a good man in a lot of ways, but he was from a different generation and didn't always, certainly wasn't abusive, don't get me wrong, but maybe a little controlling, I guess. Something where we see a lot of, starting to see a lot of again for whatever reason. I thought that kind of behavior was gone, but they used to make me crazy as a kid. They'd come home from work and she'd work just as hard as he did, and maybe even more, having to cook in the back of that truck in the heat. On the days they did come home from work and didn't go to the bar first, he'd go straight to the couch and lay down and then yell at her to get him a beer, and then she'd have to go in and get him a beer, walk it to him rather than, just go get his damn beer before he hit the couch. That just always, I don't know, there was something about that always just picked me wrong. So I've never asked my wife to go give me a beer. I can get my own damn beer. Don't ask her to make me a sandwich because I like to make my own food. It was just a different time, but as she got older in his health decline, she had to be the one to step up and do most of the work and then take care of him. Just the way it was done then. I just never wanted to be seen as that controlling. It just made me crazy the way he treated her sometimes. She didn't have an easy life even before she got married. Her dad was a bit of an asshole grandpa. He wasn't the fuzzy warm grandpa, no. He was a racist. He had some, every once in a while there was a glimmer of something in there, but hey, for the most part, the general consensus on grandpa or dad was that he was a prick. I think the other side of the family may have had a different vision or version, depending on your point of view of him, but that's how he came across to us. He never treated her right. He was never kind, even when mom and dad were helping him out. Grandma was nice. Grandma was a little different, though. Again, my oldest brother had a different relationship with her than I think the rest of us kids did. She was nice, but again, she wasn't that warm and fuzzy grandma type either. But it all kind of formed who mom was. Mom was exceedingly kind to everybody, unless you pissed her off. We had a strained relationship for a lot of years, but when my son was born, we kind of got close for a few years. We did a lot of things together. We would go to a lot of festivals and places together. We'd carve out some time where we might go to the bar for a couple hours. Up until about the time my son was 5, and then she had to leave the state for a while to live with my sister. But we had a few years where we kind of started getting close again. Sometimes just a lot of misunderstandings get in the way, where you focus on certain things rather than the big picture. She was really close to really close to our son Seamus, though. Seamus reminded her a lot of uh, appearance of our dad, her husband. So I just it was kind of drawn to Seamus for that reason. And then Seamus just had that, that wonderful big kind heart that she really liked as well. So yeah, I typically do my Thursday night videos because I go in later on Fridays. But I just I couldn't. I didn't. I was afraid to drink anything yesterday, to be honest with you. Because I just found out that she'd passed away. I missed a call earlier in the afternoon because I was working. I was just getting off when I found out that she had passed away, and I came home, told my wife, I said, okay, I better not drink anything tonight because it probably won't go well. So I took a muscle relaxer and tried to get to sleep. Muscle relaxers kind of help a little bit. They help me get to sleep, but then my sleep is erratic. So I didn't sleep well at all. Now that weed is legal around these parts, I've been indulging every once in a while. And I noticed that really does help me sleep. I've gone through just long periods of not being able to sleep more than an hour and a half, 2 hours at a time. I've noticed when I've had a little bit of that, the last time anyway, I had a 5 hour stretch. I'm trying to cut back on the amount of pharmaceuticals. I'm not on a whole bunch of stuff, but I've been taking muscle relaxers for a while, so I've been trying to kind of wean myself off of that, or just not take them as often. Uh, Man, that's good whiskey. So as we work through our processing and grief, one thing I've learned, from losing my dad and various pets along the way that were just like family, to be honest, especially the last three cats we had, losing all of them was extremely difficult. But, losing our son was trying to deal with the excessive grief. Been trying to prepare myself well. My youngest brother's been really good about that. He's been kind of keeping me updated, so it wasn't a total shock. He's been kind of been the guy on the front line, if you will, really taking care of mom and keeping everybody informed about her condition. My youngest brother Bill, he's been great about that. He's careful, I guess. I'm not sure if that's the right word of when and how he gives me the information, because he's aware of my emotional state sometimes, I guess, with the loss of Seamus, and in the time of year, I guess, I don't know what time of year it is, that it's just anyways, but he's really had to deal with a lot. And then my other sister, that's well, not in town anymore, but close, Linda. We've been kind of doing most of the stuff. I think my oldest brother and other sister, oldest sister, Neil and Sherry, are going to come to town for the funeral. I wasn't sure if they were going to do a full funeral or just do a memorial service, but they're going to do a funeral. Quite frankly, I was hoping just for a simple memorial, but Bill knew what mom wanted, so that's fine. Funerals are, I guess funerals are hard for everybody, but again, there's so much trauma associated. Um, I have a hard time. We didn't do a funeral per se for Seamus. Oh, we just had a memorial service for him. Again, we knew what Seamus wanted. and she'll be buried near our dad. There was no rhyme or reason to the beer whiskey tonight. I didn't take my usual pictures and put it up there because that's not what this particular video is about. Quite frankly, I didn't know if I was going to be able to do a video. I've been trying to work through it, last night when I first found out, and then I'm kind of all day at work, which, I was doing my job so others didn't know what I was going through. But there are times I would get it a little, I'd kind of lose my train of thought or kind of get lost. So I was trying to process certain thoughts and emotions. I didn't post anything on social media. I was going to let my brother and sister kind of take care of that. I will probably post something at some point, but today, the day after, I just couldn't do it. I didn't feel like it was my place. Bill's the one that's been taking care of things, so I wanted him to be able to. He was what closest to mom, especially the last few years. So it wasn't. I just didn't feel like saying anything at this particular moment or that particular moment to post anything on social media. But now that most of that's been done, I figured I'd go ahead and do this video and talk a little bit about her. It's funny how the recollections of our mom are different from the oldest to the youngest, depending on the version of mom that you had. Mom was a pretty good cook, but she was taught by dad. But my youngest brother, Bill, had her after we were gone, when things were a little bit different. And his recollections of her cooking aren't very good, but his tastes were very simple too. But I think, after most of us kids were gone, her mom kind of quit care a little bit. She only had to do certain things. Dad's palate was, Dad was a great cook, but his palate was simple. He liked simple, basic things, and he liked the same things over and over again. So I think after a while, their mom kind of got tired of cooking the same thing. So she just kind of, did the simplest version of whatever those things were. Every meal for dad was meat, potato, vegetable, just like that, and bread and butter on the side. He didn't stray from that very often. Every great once in a while, he might want some pizza or something, but he liked a lot of just the same food. He wasn't crazy about a lot of ethnic food. And if he did want certain things, as a pizza or maybe sometimes Mexican, it had to be done a very specific way, right? It had to be done in a very specific way. So, but yeah, my oldest brother Neil, his recollections of mom were quite different from mine because there was, there was a period of time where it was just them and they were very close. And like I said, it was a different time. It was free range parenting before it had a name. You come home from school, you get lost, or you get your homework done, then you get lost until the streetlights come on, or if you get called into dinner before that. But that was usually the thing. When the streetlights come on, you run in, you have dinner, and that was it. And this was California in the 70s, is what I'm talking about. All the neighbor kids, we all played together. Everybody was expected to be outside till a certain point, so we'd be playing whatever, baseball, football, tag, ditch 'em, run through the whole neighborhood. We'd usually have to put a limit, right? You go from this house to that house. Wasn't a particular distance, I guess, but it was from the corner house to the house just before the new houses started. The new houses was funny. we'd refer to a certain tract of houses as the new houses. We lived in the older houses, and these other houses were built, I don't know, like 69, 70, something like that. They were the new houses. They were a little bigger. So they were there for the slightly more affluent. But yeah, that was it. Okay, we're going from the corner house to where the new houses start. You can't go farther than that. Mercy. Dad ran a catering business when I was really young, and it wasn't until I think it was, I don't know, maybe 72 when they bought maybe 71 or 7. I think it was 72 when they bought the big truck or the hot truck or what is now referred to as a food truck. But before that, Dad ran just a smaller catering truck by himself. So Mom was before I started school. Mom was home with us. So that was kind of my memories with Mom. There is that I just remember having grilled cheese and tomato soup for lunch while watching Sesame Street. Or SpaghettiOs was a treat. I know they're horrible things, but like I said, Dad wasn't crazy about ethnic foods. So anytime I could have something different as a kid, as a kid now, talking about being 3 or 4 years old, I loved the SpaghettiOs with hot dogs, SpaghettiOs with Franks, they call them. So in those days, from my point of view, Mom was a great cook. Mom made a mean grilled cheese sandwich. I tell you what, had to make the tomato soup with milk because that's how Dad liked it. So I know some people make them with water, but it's better with milk. Or we get treats sometimes where she'd make to get the French onion dip mix, and so I get some of that as a treat. There were strange times when my grandfather, the one that I told you that was a bit of a uh, he liked Cheez Whiz, so Mom would buy Cheez Whiz, and I really like that. Dad didn't like cheese, so we didn't keep a lot of cheese in the house, but until later we started to. But anyways, yeah, Mom and I like cheese, so she would get some cheese every once in a while for us. Uh, but yeah, Mom was always kind to everybody. Well, almost everybody. There were certain folks I brought around that she wasn't crazy about. Of course, I had a bit of a track record, but she really loved my wife. Probably because the one I had before that was a bit of a nightmare. So they made it real clear that if I messed that one up, that I was going to be the one. So they were keeping her. Both my dad and Mom loved my wife. So yeah, that was nice. We were living in El Paso, Texas, when we had our son, and then there's my mother-in-law and my mom came out at the same time, drove out together. It was kind of nice to have them there, but there was some clashing, some grandparent clashing. And having your mother-in-law and your mother in the same house with you and your wife, it probably isn't the key to harmonious living. Both were great with the grandkids, but man, sometimes it was a little much. But it was nice. It was the first time, my wife had been away from all the family. It was a really tough situation for her, and then having the baby. So it was nice for her to have both of them there. They both were helpful in different ways. Oh, mercy. Anyways, I digress. Uh, and sometimes it's better just to, just to get everything out. Hey, Vanessa, how are you? So if I'm sitting in my easy chair, sitting in my comfy chair, just saying all this out loud to nobody else, then I'm crazy. But if I turn on the camera and do a video, then I'm talking to somebody theoretically. So sometimes it helps just to say things out loud. Otherwise, they just get internalized. So yeah, it's the last few years have been difficult. Knowing mom was slipping away, and there wasn't much of her left by the end anyway. So, but it was hard to finally hear that she was gone. But if you believe in something else, the one now she's at peace. And if you don't, well, now she's no longer in pain or suffering. So I like to believe there's something else out there. Thanks, Vanessa. I appreciate that. I'll post a comment there. Uh, I said earlier, if you didn't hear, mom was 89. She'd have been 90 this year if she made it to her birthday. But I don't think any of us expected her to be honest. It was looking like she might not make it to the new year, to be honest with you. And as we all get older, we have to confront our own mortality. How much do we have left? I'll be 59 this month, as a matter of fact. Yeah. Believe it or not, much to some chagrin, it does make me shake my head when others claim to be an expert on your life and how you should do things. But nobody should be able to tell you how you deal with your grief or your trauma. Mom is 86, 63 come December. Well, I don't know why I did. I don't have a picture of you. I just assumed you were younger. I don't know why. Maybe it was a mutual friend. I just thought you were a little younger. Mhm. My wife and I are about a year apart, but there's that little 3-day window where there's a 3-day window where we're exactly the same age, and she hates those 3 days. She'll have her 58th birthday before my 59th, so there's three days where we're both 58. Telling everybody oh yes, I just screwed up now for telling everybody how old she was. Anyways, I digress. Yeah, I miss my mom, but in a lot of ways, I've already grieved her loss because she hasn't been who she was in a very long time. So, Tom the Whiskey Whisper, Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and oh mercy, I'm also Tom the Beer Whisper, beer evangelist, prolific beer drinker, purveyor of wisdom, man. Uh, all around good guy. Sláinte. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks, Vanessa.